welcome to the Literary Labyrinth podcast. Hello, welcome. We are your hosts. My name is Leela. I am a nerd for books and I love fantasy, escapism, anything that takes me away from reality.
And my name is Linda, and I try to read as much as I can. But yeah, I love escaping into a book as well.
Yes, and we are two sisters, one who reads fast.
I'm one that reads slow.
Yes. So, and thank you again for joining us on this podcast journey of Shields of Sparrow. We really appreciate your returning to us and following us on this journey. But if you are new here, welcome on in. If you've not read Shields of Sparrow, please read it or go back to part 1. Because there's going to be spoilers and this is part 4. But perhaps you've already read it and you just want to get to the bit that we're going to talk about, which is coming up. But before we do that, just to let you know, we have a few tidbits, such as we are on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at Literary Labyrinth Podcast. So please check us out. You'll find a Linktree link in our bio that takes you to all the necessary links. And we also have a Fable Book Club where you can join us on our journey and you can listen to us anywhere. Wherever you get your podcasts, as well as watch us and hear us on Spotify and YouTube. But that's me done my bit. Let's get into the real reason why you're here. So I'm going to hand over to Linda, who's going to tell us what chapters we're reading and what happened last time we were here.
Yeah, so this is part 4, which is chapters 32 to 42. And the last thing that we were reading was that there was a massive kind of like ambush of Barry wolves in Ashmore. So they were in Ashmore, this little town, and yeah, she was trying to get escape, but the Guardian found her, and then all of a sudden it all kicked off and Barry wolves were invading the village, and the Guardian had to save everyone and kill them. And so yeah, this is the aftermath of that. I think 17 people died. Not great. So yeah, they're going back now. They're leaving the village, and they've only got one horse, which is a bit Stop that. And so they're going back to Truro, where they hopefully reunite with everybody. But that's where we are. And so we're on this horse, and she's fallen asleep in the Guardian's arms.
Romanticy. Can't help it. So, chapter 32. Odessa is sleeping, isn't she? And we get a dream. She's having a dream.
Yeah, she's sleeping against his chest, and she wakes up, and then he says they're walking off some really big village, like someplace. And he says to her, when I was a boy, my mother brought me here for my first time. And he's like telling things that he never said to anybody before. So she's getting a little piece of who that he really is.
He's kind of sharing, which is interesting because you kind of think, why are you sharing? Sorry if you can hear a fire alarm in the so not fire alarm, but a police truck in the background. I live in London. You're gonna hear that. Sorry. Anyway, there it goes. Okay, so the one thing I did want to say is the chapter opens with her having a little bit of a nightmare where she's been in the throne room. She's on her knees. May, her stepsister, half-sister, sorry. She has a knife at her neck, and then he's ordered to kill me, my punishment for returning to Roslo. So she's got a little bit of fear of, I can't go home because I failed. And so there's all that kind of tension. And then she stirs, and then she wakes up. So we know she's got a little bit of guilt. But back to your point, Linda, quite rightly so, is that she is getting a little insight into the Guardian. And there is, and I have tabbed it, that there's a moment where the color of Turin Forest, and she's looking into the Guardian's eyes.
Oh yeah, there's a new color.
Yes, it's like a green color, a deep shade of hunter, she calls it. But the word she says as she's staring into his eyes is, "It's beautiful, the forest, those eyes." And he dropped his gaze, muting mine. I was still cradled against him, having shifted in my sleep towards the arm he curled around my shoulders. I should move, sit straight, get off this horse and put some distance between us. But the truth is I was terrified to admit, even to myself, was that I didn't want to move.
He's got it bad.
She fallen. I literally have a tab saying, she fallen. She fallen.
She's got it bad, and yeah, she's got to remember she's married, not to that person. So yeah, he's your
Yes.
bodyguard, not your husband. So awkward, but yeah, so like they're on their way, and it turns out they're not going to the foresty place with the Ewoks.
They are not.
They're going to a new place, Elder, more of a city
Yes.
that's there. And yeah, that's where Xavier and the little girl Evangeline is, but not her two handmaids, but that's where she's being taken at the moment.
Yes, absolutely. So there's that. You definitely feel the tension at this point in this particular chapter of the Guardian and
Mhm.
Odessa, because making goo goo eyes and her saying thank you for bringing me to this area that he's explained his mother used to,
Yeah, he's getting close too. He's getting close too. He's like, oh, I'll let my guard down a bit with you and all this kind of stuff. So you're like, both of them are
Also,
like,
he constantly is saying my queen.
oh, for
So
God. Yeah. So yeah, that's
yes,
kind of, so they get into Elder, I'm going to
yes,
say. And yeah, so there, and everybody's looking at them going, oh, look, the Guardian's here. All this whispering. And she's like,
yeah,
does he not come here enough? Like, often is it like, why is such a spectacle happening? And then,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and they're also asking about, like, who is she? What's going on there? And she's like, oh, God.
Who is
Yeah.
she? Sorry.
Yeah. And he, like, but the thing is, though, it's not like, things sort of change when they're in the city now. Like, he literally takes her off the horse. He grabs her by the wrist and pulls her along, Elder, and like all through the streets to this house that's obviously
Mhm.
Xavier's.
Yes. It feels like it's like a smaller castle mansion for Elder.
Yeah, it's like, but it's the biggest town the biggest city we've been in so far.
Yes.
So yeah, it's bigger than
Yes.
Ashmore, it's bigger than Trill. Like it's like,
Yeah,
and
there's
they've
like
all
market stalls, there's stuff happening. They are even getting ready for the Crux migration, so
loads of
she sees
holes and stuff.
setups for that. Yeah, lots of holes for,
Going underground.
burying people, so not well burying people, but so they could take shelter. And wooden spikes, things like that. So she sees a bit of that. And it's also to deter other monsters from coming to them.
Uh-huh.
But he's like, we can explore tomorrow, like, let's
Yeah,
just get you in.
nighttime.
So
Get
we
in.
get into the castle-y mansion house or whatever. And and yeah, and then
That's
we
it.
move
She's kind
straight
of like,
on.
is that? Yeah, she just says, right, okay, I'm not going back to Trail. He's like, no, and then he just leaves her there. And but there is kind of a touching moment where he's
Mm.
about to go, and she says, wasn't ready to say goodbye to him, and she says like,
Oh.
and then he puts his arm on her shoulder, and it's where she fell, and then he goes, oh, I'm sorry, and she's like, no, you didn't hurt me, and then he goes, but I could have, and then he just like leaves, like, but
It's a
he does
tender
say.
moment.
But he does say into like something like he sees her like hands and he can see the dye and he says, oh, you don't have to hide who you are, Cross. Not from me. And then she empties the jar of hair dye out of her bedroom window. So she's got red hair now.
She has red hair. So for those watching us currently, I have a special edition of Shields of Sparrow, and it has artwork of what they assume Odessa looks like, and half of it is brown hair and half of it is her red hair.
Yeah.
So if you can see this is we're now into the red hair phase, ladies and gentlemen. So transition of a character, if nothing but. So this is going to be exciting. But I was like, yes, stop putting that crap in your hair, Odessa. Screw
Yeah.
that. So I'm very happy that she did that. So we move on to chapter 33. He's knocking at the front door. Who could it be? But it's Xavier's daughter, Evie, who we met
Evie.
in the Endor Trua area. And
Yeah.
hey, she wants to play hide and seek. And yeah.
Yeah. But then she's like, okay, like, she nearly lost her in hide and seek. So she's like, why don't instead maybe you want to show me around? And so it's like a secret alternative motive here. Like she's got no where she is. Like, but the door's open. The Guardian said like, you're not in a cage. So she's like, yeah, go on. So Evie's like, yeah, Elder, maybe like I'll show you around. I'll show you everywhere.
Mhm.
So yeah, they
I
go
mean,
off
I
exploring
did
the town.
say, did I not? I said if you want to get intel, make friends with the kid, go with the kid. The kid will literally lead you to places. And as we get into this chapter, I mean, there is a nice side to Odessa where she's going, she misses her half brother, baby brother
Yeah.
Arthur. So she is enjoying this company, and it's becoming now more of a regular thing where they will hang out for a period of time in the day, and she gets a little cut. So they're growing closer. But so we get to the crux of it. Evie says, "Elder, dungeons. She made me a promise to stay with you until she was done in the dungeons." And she's like, what
Oh
are these
yeah.
dungeons?
Mhm.
Because she's not seen any dungeons or anything like that.
Yeah.
And Evie's always like, they're creepy, yeah, and we should go there. And then obviously Odessa's like, no, you shouldn't go there. That's a bad thing. But
Mhm.
then there are books in the dungeons, and
Yeah.
that's when all of us book girlies go, ding, 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 ding. Let's go to the books.
Yeah, there's
Follow
all
the
these book
books.
scrolls and weird stuff. Luella calls them trinkets, and she's like, "All right, okay." So
Let's
intel
go.
hiding there, which is weird
Yes.
because King Ramsay doesn't like books, or we've heard he doesn't like some reason
Or
why he
he
doesn't like
burns
books.
them. He just gets rid of them instantly. Yeah.
Yeah, so like why these ones not been burned? Let's see.
Mm-hmm.
So
So yeah,
yeah,
so they go on like a little mission, and she goes, "Okay, let's go then." And Evie's like, "Yeah, okay, adventure." So they make their way, and she's following the sort of grey rock and stuff. And she's happy that Evie's guiding her, because she from the description is, oh, she would never have known it was there.
yeah,
That's what
it's
I
a
get.
cave, isn't it? The dungeon is a cave. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's
It's like
hidden
hidden in a wall in the cave.
and
Yeah.
back. So yeah, she's like, but then she goes in and there's like no shelves. It's just stacks of books and
Yeah.
objects piled on top of each other. And so like in the next cell, like there's just like no shelves. It's just like in the cell, just filled with books and things. And she's just like, oh, great, this looks really like spooky. But she's like, I'm coming back here without Evie to like figure figure out what the hell is going on here. But
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't have time, does she? Until somebody
No.
kind of comes behind her.
It's it's Luella who's her sort of sitter, so to speak, for Evie. And they seem to be all alone until she sneaks up behind them. And then that's when Evie's like, busted. And she's not happy Patty, but she's not mean to them. She's like, oh, it was my idea, please don't. And then that's when Luella's like, no, I'm not mad at you. It's fine. You
They're trying
know,
to find the hiding
but how
place.
long have you known about the dungeons? And she's like, wow, this girl's perceptive. Okay, I've got to be extra careful. And then another person shows up while this
Yeah,
conversation comes up.
Catelyn. I mean, she gets places. This girl gets places.
She does.
Like, I'm trying to figure it out because she said goodbye to her, like the Guardian and like her. And they went like the Guardian's pretty fast. He went through the forest really fast to get to Eldar. She slept, and already Catelyn's here, and they said goodbye to her. Like, how fast? There's something
I'm
fishy
not
going on.
sure. The reason I'm not sure of the time in which has passed, because it's an odd one, because obviously the next day Evie knocks on her door, and they're sort of
Yeah.
sharing moments together. And it feels somewhere in that a passage of time has happened.
Maybe that's it because I was like, what? I thought it was the next day. And all of a sudden I'm like, what? She's here? Okay. So as
Yeah,
long as
I can't find it, but I'm pretty sure they say, because this is the thing, it's like every other afternoon a young man carried a stacks of paper. So from that, I'm assuming it's been a few days. She's been looking out her balcony window, assessing the man that, the market lady, the person that delivers the papers. So that's why I think, Kathleen, it's
okay,
been a couple of days. It's
I
just
missed
not
this.
clear, but there is a passage of time somewhere. So yeah, she hasn't just joined them. It's been like maybe 3 days, 4 days, something like that.
Give it the benefit of the doubt. There. Okay. Yes. She sees Catherine again and she's like, oh, yeah, I'm just helping out with the books because you know how much I love books.
Exactly, because her library was burnt. So she's come here.
Yeah.
But then she does this thing where they say, okay, off you go, and Evie follows. Sorry, Odessa follows Evie to be like, off you go, bye, get out.
Mhm.
And Catelyn says, oh, maybe I'll give you some books, so you can borrow, so you can
Yeah.
learn about Shura. And Odessa to Catelyn is very appreciative of this.
Yeah.
And
Like,
then they leave.
right on.
But as they leave, they eavesdrop on Luella and Catelyn talking.
Yeah, and so yeah, she's got a book about myths and legends. She's got another one about where monsters come from, etc. But then, yeah, she gets pulled away, and then she says, wasn't it? Don't play coy with me. I've
Luella.
known your entire life. You're up to something. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you doing with her? Because they're like just hiding behind the wall, aren't they? And so, like, Kathleen and Luella are just chatting. And she says, like, Kathleen's like, they're just books. I'm giving that poor girl something to read. And Luella says, she's the last person who should be here. And she's too much like her mother. Oh no, sorry. That was not Odessa. That was for Evie. I'm getting all mixed up again.
Yeah, you have to be careful because it's very quick. So Luella just hisses, what do you think you're doing to Catelyn? She's like, what do you mean? Don't play coy with me, Catelyn. I've known you your entire life. You're up to something. To which then, they're just books, Lou. The poor girl's got to just read. And Luella's like, that's all. She's the last person who should be here. So that's
Yeah,
for Odessa. And then she says, I should have known Evie would follow me. That girl. She's too much like her mother, says Catelyn, in terms of Evie.
we don't
However,
remember.
we don't know who Evie's mum is. We also don't understand why Luella says she's the last person that should be reading them. Now, is it a case
Yeah,
of she's a spy, so we
we
don't
all
want her
know
to
she's
read it?
right.
But I
Yeah.
just don't think that's why. I think there's a bigger reason there. It's not just, oh, she's a spy for Quentis. It's, I don't know. I like to think it's a bigger reason. Anyway, so they
Mm.
go off and Evie's even eavesdropping. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
And they like, do you want to play with kittens?
Yeah. So they go home to play with the kittens and stuff like that. So yeah, they're just playing it, but until like Savior comes home and he said, or he's like, hello, but she says, I wish I was excited to see Xavier, but I wasn't. No, I was longing to see another man. And you're
I
like,
mean,
oh
can you
God,
blame
man.
her? He's never around. He's not here.
Xavier and he stops his conversation. You ask him like he asks you two questions and then you ask one back and then he goes, I must go. You're like,
Yeah, and he
okay.
just goes, she even says, she's even got into the protocol because Odessa, once Evie's gone up to her, Papa, she goes, I'll leave you guys alone.
Yeah.
But Xavier stops her and goes, your hair is different. And she's like, yeah, it is. It's red. But then Evie's quite sweet in this moment. She's like, her stepmother said this, but I think she's talking out of her ass, basically. And I like her red hair. And she's like, I agree. It's lovely. You look great. And you're like, great. Odessa's been given a compliment about her red hair,
Yeah. I
which
still
is
think there's something
probably
about the red hair as
needed.
well. There's something
Say
about the red
again?
hair. There's something about her red hair that needs to be hidden. I just feel.
Yeah, she must be of a unique. I don't know. Yeah, and obviously her eyes are another thing that we've spoken about before. So anyway, that happens and
Yeah, she just leaves them alone.
she just leaves them all off. Xavier and Evie go off and she goes, right, let's go read those books that Catelyn gave me.
But she don't get a chance because the guardian stood outside her door and his eyes are all green and saying like, come on. He tosses a sword at her and he's just like, she drops it on the floor. And he's like, oh my God. And he's like, what's this for? And she's like, oh, you demanded a sword. Let's go training. And then he just takes
But
her
he
off.
made her a sword.
Mm.
He's fallen big time. Big
He
time.
has.
You don't
Yeah.
make a girl a sword unless it's surreal. And she says even that it's the perfect sword for me. It's, the
Yeah.
right
Her
size, the
size.
right weight.
But yeah, so he's taking her off to training and she takes her, and when we're going into chapter 34, he says she spends at least a week learning how to wield it. And it was the best week I'd had in a long time.
She's obsessed. Obsessed. I'm kind of slightly obsessed anyway. So she says the steel blade was smooth, clean. I could see my own reflection and
Yeah.
on its edge. Anyway, so she's training, and the Guardian's still like, would you relax, Cross? This is like,
Yeah.
he's berating her anyway.
Yeah.
And
But he says your stamina. And he gives her a compliment. It's better. And she's like, what is that? And he's like, don't let it get to your head. And she's like, never. Oh, she's got a compliment from him.
that's right. And so that kind of goes on. She mentions about horses and training with horses as well. But we then sort of slowly move on. Because obviously she's going, oh, I like the Guardian, but I'm married to Xavier.
Yeah,
Oh,
what
look,
am I
there's those
going to do?
emerald green eyes. They would linger in my mind for hours. And you're just, because obviously this is a new color of eyes that she's seeing.
Yeah.
And I just think this is his goo goo, I love you eyes. That's what I'm calling them. Emerald green goo goo, I love you.
Yeah. So yeah, she's doing that and so basically, yeah, it's all about like she's training with the Guardian. She's in love with the Guardian and like he's kind of into her too, but she shouldn't be because she's with Xavier and the training and stuff like that. And she's
Mm-hmm.
getting to know Elder, walking around. She's like, I visited the bakery and there'd been a soldier and like, there was somebody there and like, I've been trying to get around the soldiers there. And she tries to get, well, she sees him and she's like, oh, I wonder if like I should ask him about if Alizaria exists. And he's like, well, what happens if like Alizaria is a lie? Like she thinks now that they're just making it up because like no one talks about it. Like everyone must be making it up just to make a myth to like,
Everyone's so quiet
yeah.
about it. And it's
Uh-huh.
quite hard to imagine that an entire citizen of people would operate the exact same way because someone's
Yeah.
told them. So there's clearly a rift going on here.
Yeah. So she decides like every time I bring it up, I just get the silent treatment or people walk away from me or whatever. So I'm just going to not say anything and just like pretend it doesn't exist and look at other things that need to be done. So she's kind of just forgetting about that. And she's going back to the main house when a screen comes in the air and
Yes.
she finds the Guardian stalking her way, kicking and frantic, and it's Evie. She's on his shoulder and she's like, I'm going with him. Evie, stop. And it's Xavier, isn't he? He's off for another. Who
He's
knows where
off
he's going.
again. He's off
Yeah.
again on one of his many missions. And she basically wants to go with him. She's sad every
Yeah.
time he leaves, and she's
Yeah.
having a tantrum. She's like, I can
Probably.
fight, I can do this, I want to go with Daddy, but it's alas not working. So the Guardian is trying to get her to calm down, and then Odessa steps in and she goes, "Yeah, why don't we go? He needs to go on a mission, the Guardian, to get a horsey, my horsey Freya."
Yeah. Uh-huh.
From Chura, the
Sure.
moon of Endor. Do you want to come and join us on an expedition, a little adventure? And Evie's like, okay, yeah. And then she calms down. And so we know
Yeah.
that the Guardian, Odessa, and Evie are going to go on horseback back to Chura to get Freya, which is
Yeah.
Odessa's horse. So we
Yeah.
end up into chapter 35.
Yeah. So yeah, I get the kind of thing that this is what was, I'm sorry, but at this point I was starting to get like a bit of a dip. I'm like, here's the
Kind of go
I get,
back and forth and back and forth.
I was just like, okay, I get this was like the passage of time and, time is going thing, the seasons are coming, she's learning different characters. I'm just like, nothing is happening. They're going to meet people. Great. She's, remember in the last one, she's like, finally, I'm not going to sit around anymore. I'm going to do something about it and go to Ashmore and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, she's gone back again. She's like, yeah, I'm an elder now and I'm just going to go back and just stay here. I'm going to live here and just like hang out with Evie and maybe get books from that secret library. And I'm happy with that and doing training. And I'm like, come on, God, there are a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions we're not answering here.
It's true. The one thing I forgot to mention actually is regarding the dungeon area where there were a bunch of books. When Odessa goes back later to that same cave on her own, everything's gone. Everything's been removed. Everything's
Yeah,
disappeared.
Matt
So
still in
Luella's
there.
shifted it because she doesn't want her to know about it.
She
So
wants to find a map, and she's like, There's no maps. Why has nobody got a map? Bloody hell. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like left it like that. But that's why I was like, oh my God, what the
Yeah,
hell?
and
So
essentially chapter 35 is they get on a horse,
yeah,
they explain the name of the guardian's horse, which is Orinda. It's a girl's name, and then you
yeah.
find out that there were there were two twin moons. One was called Orinda and Aurelia, and
Mhm.
they were nearly identical except for a massive grave crater that married Orinda's surface. And there's like a mythical story, and
That's what he named his horse that. But
yeah,
also Evie finds out as well, like she doesn't find out that Odessa's her stepmom. She does find out that Odessa is a princess like her. And she's
that's
like, oh,
right.
but I'm a secret like princess, obviously, because she can't tell anybody that she's Xavier's daughter. Poor little thing. So, but
Mhm.
she's kind of like, they've got that in common, that they're two little princesses and they get sent away a lot, which is sad. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a nice little wee relationship, isn't it? But I am gonna summarize this chapter. I think you'll agree with me, Linda, because there's a lot of like sort of talking, getting to know each other and everything. So that is a key point in it.
Yeah. The only thing I think the big that comes out of this is that when she goes to sleep is that she asks more questions about the Lyssa.
Yes, and then the Guardian has forgotten that in the drunken sprawl in the cabin, he actually says, "How do you know about that?" And he's like, "'Cause you told me when you were wasted." And he's like,
Yeah, we drunk. Yeah,
"Okay,
and we
fine."
find out a bit more about it. So finally, I was like actually a bit happy here because I was like, finally, we find out
We
it's an
gain
infection.
information. Yeah, we
Yeah,
gain information about the infection.
yeah, it's an infection, and that's why Evie thinks that they're sick. And
Mm,
she's like, okay. And the Guardian says, we don't know much about Lyssa. We don't know how it started. We're just trying to
yeah.
stop it from spreading. So yeah, that's all that we've kind of got about it. And she's like, and he says, a monster is deadly without the infection. They kill for nourishment, but with it, like the infection, they're so much more savage and vicious. And they
Mm.
just like, there's just a bloodlust. Like before the monster like had to kill it to protect its young or to get food. Now they're just like, they're killing it just for sport. So
Yeah, and
that's
it says that like they're with it, they're incredibly more like stronger. They're much
yeah,
stronger than they would be as when they regularly are. So, and apparently the only way it can be spread is by a bite, and obviously the identity that it's green blood.
yeah.
So,
Well, we only learned about it in the last 4 years.
and then we get to a big pinnacle moment where they're talking about you can only buy you can transfer it by bite, and then she starts asking, is it only between the monsters or can like cats and dogs have it? And then she realizes the guardian might have been bitten. And I was like, okay. And she
He
says
has
because
cancer.
like he worked free the cuff of his arm, the cuff that had engraved, and I feel like this cuff is very important. I'm just going to say the cuff that he engraved and carved to mark the lives he'd taken so he wouldn't forget. The cuff that concealed a scar. His skin is perfect, save for a crescent shaped series of white dots, a row of jagged teeth. So she asks, what bit you? And he says, a Barry wolf. And then the one that was in the attack in Ashmore that we read about in the previous episode, there was one Barry wolf with one eye. And apparently that was the one that was after him and he took its eye. And so she's like, ah, it was that one.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the werewolf that like bit him, and now so that he's just like, yep, that's it. Like just, but he kind of baits her and says, you know, how come you're dead? And he says, we'll kill every one, last one of them, even himself. And then he smirks to her. Just think of how happy your dad will be when I'm dead. Just like he asked you. It's just like,
I know. And he's like, my queen, the assassin. And she's like,
yeah,
huh? What do you mean? Into the
oh
next
yeah,
chapter, 36,
yeah,
playing
the
dumb.
basics.
He's like, Cross, are you seriously gonna, you know, they're gonna tell me this?
We
She's
know
like,
you're a spy. We know you try to kill me.
so it is quite funny. So he says, but he makes a point of saying, do you not think the other kingdoms know about Lyssa? Do you not think your dad knows about it?
Yeah, like wouldn't he know about all this? And she's like, no, he hasn't. And she's like, yeah, I
But
think he
then he
does.
doesn't tell her anything, so how can she know for sure?
Yeah. So she says about like, was that why the Volstra and like Xavier know about it too and things? And he's
Mm.
just like, yeah, like they all know, and they've been trying to like find an answer, figure out like a way to stop it or where it's coming from. Nobody can find the source of
That
it.
I have to say that ticked me off, the fact that nobody knows how it came to be or where it's coming from. I was like, come
Yeah,
on. Come
like
on, not even those
who's the first
Foster
person
weirdos.
who said that? Like, who's the first person to say, "Oh, have you heard about Lyssa?" And then start from there.
I'm calling bullshit on some of this. I also am still very suspicious of
Yeah.
the Foster. Very suspicious of that. The
Yeah.
Foster, I feel, I don't know. I'm getting a vibe. I'm getting a vibe. But anyway, so they're talking about that. They don't know where it started from, but they're in a basically they're going out in hunting parties, Xavier, him, and some other people to like just immediately kill anything with green blood. If a monster has green blood, kill it. Kill it, kill it, kill it. And then the hope says they've killed them all and it will stop spreading, and that's that. And that's the
Yeah.
whole point of him going off, doing his thing, and Xavier's disappearing all the time. So yeah, the king, we find out, Ramsay, he
Yeah.
knows about it.
Yeah, he knows about it, but he doesn't want to do anything about it. He's just like, but he's not helping.
Yeah,
And
but
then
they
he just
ask her
says,
why or what's the deal with King Ramsay. Like nothing
yeah,
happens. He
I
says,
don't know what
"What
the
about
right thing is.
cure?" She said,
Yeah,
"There's
it
no
also says
cure."
there's no cure. Yeah,
But he's
there's
so
no cure for
adamant
that.
about it, which we all know is horseshit. There's always a cure for something. It's just a case of like, if you don't know where it came from, why do you think there's no cure? Why are you so set on there's no cure? How, like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, why would you go, there's no cure, but you don't even know where it
He's
came
very like
from?
thinking,
So
like
how
just
can you be so sure? If you knew where it started from, you could be like, oh, we've investigated traits and stuff, but you don't even know that information. So now I'm even more sus about this.
no. He's very like that's it. Like no, okay. Like there's no
Mm,
cure. That's very like determined against it. But he does go into it a bit
yeah.
more about like when you were talking about our dad, and he's like, "Oh, my father should know about it. We need to tell people that it's spreading to other kingdoms." And he goes, "What makes you think he doesn't already know?" And he goes, and he says, "Every
Mm.
king in Calandra knows of Lyssa. They have simply decided it is Chura's problem to solve it." And she's like, "Well, they don't care." And he goes, "The Shields of Sparrow prevents war, my queen. It does not require allegiance." So yeah, people know about it,
Oh,
and
okay. People just wash their hands of it until it becomes their problem. They don't care. Okay. So
exactly.
that's
So
shit.
he's just like, kept it secret from our people because we don't want to have too much panic. But it's like, it's there and it's like spreading. And
Mm.
it says it's mostly in this region, so Elder region, but on the other side of Chura, there are no signs.
Yeah, that's right. So, and the other thing he mentioned a little bit later, if it spreads across the border of Ozarth, I expect the kings will change their mind. You know, that's what she's assuming. But he's like, by that point, it'd be too late to stop. You know, it'd be
Yeah.
widespread,
Okay.
and you're just like, oh, is this a precursor for this book? Basically,
It's
it's gonna
spreading.
spread, and then everyone's gonna lose their shit. But yeah, if you're looking here, you can see Ozarth is just where I'm pointing my finger, and Chura.
Yeah.
So for those listening, it's basically next door neighbor. It's their next door neighbor. It's the next kingdom, and so yeah, issues there possibly, but at the moment it looks like they're tackling it okay. But lot of unknowns
Mhm.
still. Not happy about that. So anyway, but
But
she's very
anyway,
sad. She wants to help.
yeah, she does want to help. She's like, no, I want to like get involved and help cure this. And he doesn't. He's like, why? And like, she's like, it's my kingdom too now. But
Mm.
when they start to talk about that, the soldiers in front of them say, Tarkin! And yeah, it's attacked as a head. So all hell breaks loose. So yeah, there's maybe about 5 deaths as well. So like, they're like, crap, right, we've got to go. And he's like, can you ride? And he just kind of throws Evie at her. And he goes, off. Right, okay. But then when they approach the nearest watchtower, like, and get through, they hear loads of shouts and screams from the encampment. So they can't have been that far from is it
Chura, yeah.
Jura? Like, no, the little what you call it? The woodland Endor.
Yeah, Chura. No, sorry. Yeah,
Oh,
no, you're
no,
absolutely right. What is it called again? Okay.
Treeland.
The Moon of Endor. We'll come back to that. I can't quite
Yeah.
remember,
So
but yes.
there's some Tarkins which are like tigers,
They're sort
pink
of like
tigers.
tiger cat type things, but big vicious ones. And they have infiltrated, and so he hates it, but he rides with them. Evie is with Odessa. It's a very
Yeah,
scary time. But then he gets them to the tree house and he's like, get up that tree, get to the
yeah, way
top.
up there.
And then he waits to see them up the ladder to the very top. And he goes, great.
Stay there.
And then he buggers off because now he's like, all right, they're safe.
I can get
And we all know that's
you
not
know,
gonna. Some
she's
shit's
gonna
going
find
down.
herself. Yeah, so she hears like they're looking like she goes out and she like Evie's like, I want my dad and all this kind of stuff, and she looks out beneath her treehouse and she can see the Tarkin walking on silent paws, and she says, so their fur is red as rubies, striped with pink, and they've got a blade through its gullet or heart. Like, oh, sorry, the only way to kill it is through a blade through its gullet or heart, and they've got scales that are on their back, which is impenetrable. So you're like, oh god, some kind of like tiger.
But
Kinda,
apparently the scales were as large as her hand and thick as iron. So I think they're pretty hard to kill.
yeah, and so that she's just like, oh god, we need to stay behind here. I need to like protect Evie. But then she hears like a girl, and she's like, oh, hurry, Marco, and stuff. She's like, oh, I can't leave these kids like by themselves to run after
Here
them.
we go. Here we go.
There we go. So she's like, yeah, okay. So she runs, doesn't she, to get the girl. She pulls them up the.
Well, she's like going to them, climb up the ladder. Let's go.
Yeah.
And
The girl steps on a stick and then it's just like, oh, the noise wasn't loud, but it had been like thunderclap to the to the Tarkin, and yeah, the Tarkin was going down there, and without thinking, I spun and started down the ladder, moving as fast as I could, because the girl started crying, and she's just like, "Go now, climb!" And the thing is coming at them, isn't she? And the boy,
yeah, the Tarkin, basically she's got the kid, and they're climbing midway up the ladder. I don't know why the kid isn't trying hard enough, if I'm honest with you. I think he's just in fear. Yeah, he's in fear. And the Tarquin launches itself at the ladder, and I think it sort of half snaps. But she also, I think it attacks her leg, so she's bleeding a bit because it's ripped some of her leg.
Yeah. So yeah, she's like, it's kind of just hit her trying to get them both down, and she's holding onto this like little boy while the little girl's already got to the top with Evie, and the boy, she's just holding him going, and he's just like, she's like trying to get him to climb, and he's just crying and crying, so he's not going to do anything. She has to do the climbing, but she can't do it. Her legs slip and she drops her rug, and then as you said, the left side of the ladder breaks from the hook, and it's just like things trying to get her, and all of a sudden they all fall down, and she's just like covering the boy because she's just like, I could hear we're gonna die, and then all of a sudden
she's like, oh, shit, we're gonna die. Yeah, oh my god.
She goes and protects the boy, and then all she could hear is like the kiss of wind on my hair, and all of a sudden, da-da, that guardian.
Guardian. Oh, if there's ever been a here comes the savior, I was like, yeah, here we go. And so she's expecting death. Let's do it. Okay, here I go. My body's broken, and yeah, she suddenly is saved
by the guardian who gets the Tarkin, and he kills him. And it's a her actually. The Tarkin is a girl, and kills the Tarkin, and then he's just like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure."
Yes, I'm okay.
And then he's like, "Oh, you reek." Sorry,
reckless. You reek. You stink. I hate you. You reek of filth. No, you mean reckless.
reckless woman. You reckless woman. Like, does life mean nothing to you? And she's like, not when the lives of innocent children are at risk. He's like, oh God. Like, yeah, and then
This is
everybody
the only
sees
thing
her.
that takes me off. This is the only thing that takes me off. So she has put her life on the line. She's fell. Okay, luckily saved by the guardian. And then the mother comes out. Where the f were you?
She's
It's
working.
like,
She's
Mama.
working. A job. She's got a job.
Don't even start. She went, thank you, the woman sobs when she gets her kid. And I'm just like, do you know what? Get stuffed. Where the hell were you? Sorry. But anyway,
But then before like she goes, she really meets the face of the Volster high priest. Why is the Volster high priest there? Was he there before? After? Was he then just new?
there's something I need to know why she's so affected by this foster high priest. Like,
Yeah,
not
why
just
she
this
like
one.
shocked and like that was it a buzzing
It's
on her skin or something?
Yeah, and she says, I tilted my head to the sky, closing my eyes. I was surrounded by monsters. So she
Yeah.
considers the Vosters monsters. She doesn't like them. She doesn't like the way they feel. She doesn't trust them. She does not like them. It's constantly repeated since day one in this book
Yeah.
that
She doesn't like she gets sick after around them. There's something that's going on.
yeah. So 37, chapter 37, it's the aftermath, and she's getting medical attention.
Oh yeah, in the infirmary.
After she said, "No, I'm fine. Don't worry about me," and
Yeah,
then she kind of falls a little bit, and they're like, "The foot, just sit the ass down."
yeah,
Anyway,
get it.
so she crawls. Yeah,
No, she's fine. She goes to the infirmary for a bit and then whatever. They give her some like rest and recuperation, and then she's back up again. It's like blah blah. The passing of time, great. Okay, we want to
exactly.
get the drama here, but yes. Anyway, she finds out that it took 5 soldiers from Eldar and 3 people in Churl, and like that they were the people that died. So I was like, oh God, like this isn't good.
So it's obviously quite a mission to kill something that is a Tarkin with the
Yeah,
disease. So it's been quite effective.
but you know, it's not safe in Triol now. It's not
Yes.
safe there for them, and they've
Yes,
got no
Trio is
protection
not
there.
safe.
Yeah, there's nobody to protect them apart from the people that live there, the soldiers and the rangers that come by. So
Mhm.
yeah, so
I did like how there's a point where Tilia, who we've met before, one of the soldiers that the Guardian's close with, she mentions Lyssa, and she goes, "What? How do you know about that?" And then she's like, "Well, I got told it, so what are you
yeah,
gonna do?" And then she sort of goes, "Okay,"
yeah.
and
So she
that's it.
knows, but so she's leaving the kind of infirmary when she sees the guardian sat on the side of a table in a room, doesn't she? And she's just like, and beside him is the high priest, and I don't know why. Again, why is the high priest there? But
Yeah,
yeah,
she's spying through the window of one of the rooms in the infirmary, wondering what the Guardian's doing. And she's like, he's got his naked chest out, crescent scar, woo. And he says, whenever you're ready, brother. And I'm like, why are you calling him brother? I don't know.
brother, is he a bolster now? I don't know.
And anyway, so the Volster starts touching his skin and he murmurs some magic-y stuff. And the Guardian looks like he's in an insane
Yeah,
amount
like
of
dog fighting doesn't mean it's like that, and then yeah, and his magic is flowing through his hands at the guardian, and he's trembling with pain. And she's like, "What the hell is going on?" And doesn't she? She tries to go in, and the Volster just sticks out a hand and shuts the door on her.
Now, listen, I think this is important. This doesn't come up again and the discussion never happens. But for the Volster to fling its hand, sending a wave of wind blasting at her dress, shutting the door in her face.
Because she was
He
probably
didn't
going to
want to
stop.
be disrupted, and we'll get into it. Like, we do know why.
Do we?
We get a reason why or what was going on, but which we'll go into in a second. But I don't know. Why would you do that? Why would you shut the door in her face?
Yeah. Because she was going to stop it anyway. I think if she'd done it, she would have stopped him and pushed him out the way and said,
Yeah,
no,
because
you're
what
hurting
could
him.
happen is she'd come in and she'd be like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a procedure. You just need to trust me." And then she would have left.
Yeah.
But
She would have
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know. It's just speculation.
Yeah. So anyway, she goes out and she sees Briella, doesn't she? And she's like, oh, hey. And Briella's wearing pants now.
But hold on. One thing I do want to say is,
You
so
don't want to talk about
this,
Briella's pants?
no, screw Briella. I say those handmaids. But there's a guardian's like faith is in the Voster, is unwavering. So that's number one. He believes the Voster are good people and they're doing the right thing. But she's
Questionable.
like, but what if the high priestess is wrong? Sorry, priest is wrong. And then he said, what if Lyssa wasn't some sort of mutation or disease? What if they had caused it? Right? Seed of doubt here. And then the Voster's eyes were the same dark green shade as blood from the infected monsters. This couldn't be a coincidence. So I just think those lines are important for the rest of the story. So we'll see. But back to Briellen's pants.
But Briella's wearing pants, guys. She don't want to wear dresses anymore. This is a fun fact.
And her response is, when in...
Can I just also, what's kind of, Jocelyn's like never been around since. I think there's something fishy with Jocelyn as well.
I don't like her. I think she stinks.
No, because like it's always been who's been helping her get to Ashmore? Brielle, who always takes her and hangs out at the comments. Brielle, what's Jocelyn doing? What's sneaky Jocelyn doing? What the hell's going on? We hear things like Jocelyn came by and made me a bath, but that's all I hear. I don't have any like other talks with Jocelyn. I'm suspicious of Jocelyn. I think Brielle is like the blonde-haired girl in Mean Girls who said it's 20% chance it's already raining right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Brielle's probably all right, but Jocelyn's a total bitch. I don't like her. So I'm not sure about that. But yeah, anyway.
Have you found anything about Alizaria? And she's like, nah, it's a myth. That's it. She's like, all right, okay, Jocelyn and I will bring you dinner. See you soon. And yeah, so that's how it ends, really. I don't think there's anything interesting else that happens in this chapter, apart from at the end where they say something. Who is this?
It's the
high priestess about something.
It's the Guardian's conversation about what was going on.
Yeah, that's it. This is the bit.
Yeah,
he was siphoning Lyssa from my blood. Siphoning Lyssa from my blood.
So he tells Odessa this after she said, I saw you. But she's like, so, what, like, why does he think he can cure it? And then he again says, there's no cure, Sparrow. Like, get that notion out of your head. And I'm like, why are you so aggressive about it?
He said that a disease has morphed over time, rotting its host, probably a fennec. And I was like, I remember she got fennec poisoning, didn't she?
She got fennec poisoning and she survived.
Yeah, there's something weird there. And then he said, Lyssa felt the same as the blood of someone poisoned with fennec tusk powder, but it was difficult enough that he kept searching. And I was like, well, that doesn't seem like a coincidence, does it?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. So anyway, we find out as well that like he's
also,
going on about...
I don't like is that how is that not the first thing Odessa's like, that's funny. I was poisoned as a child.
You nearly died. It's like it was like a life-changing event, Odessa. Like,
and why has that not been the first thing when someone says, oh, tusk from a fennec? You should be like, interesting. I almost died from that. No, doesn't ever come up, which ticks me off. Anyway, we move forward.
Yeah, there's something else that they mention. It said that only that it has a strong reaction to Korakin. Like Lyssa and Korakin don't seem to adhere. That they were alike, and I'm like, okay, so I don't know what this Korakin is.
Yeah, so it says as in cavern dung. No, I don't know what Korakin. It's obviously got some dung of some sort. I don't understand.
a cavern with some of the smallest monsters in Calendar, and they were twice as vicious as their cousins, the Wolverines. Cavern lived in the Lern deserts, burying in the sand. So I'm like, right there, Dung and Lyssa are alike. What is going on? Like, oh, come on, more info. I don't understand. So you think that they're like the same? What's going on? Yeah.
And then there's the thing of like, it sounds like alchemy, not magic. But then Guardian says only the Voster have. So she says, sorry, Odessa, only the Voster have magic in Calandra. But then he says that we know of. So I suppose that's why he's saying maybe there's still a magic element to it and it's not just alchemy made by somebody.
Yeah. Someone might have created it. Yeah. So yeah, at least like saying things like, well, and it's just when she says, I'm going to help and I want to help out. And he's like, okay, then fine. You can help out with this. And
Yeah.
that's how we kind of end it. So that
But the
they've
one
agreed.
thing we've learned as well is we know why the Voster's there. He's there to siphon Lyssa out of the Guardian's body to help him not lose, I don't know, his insanity or
Control or
something.
something. Are you sure that maybe it's something else?
I don't think that's true. I think I call bullshit on that. I'm sus on the Voster. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, there is
So
something suspicious going on. But yeah, so this is again like this is a bit of a boring one now. Like she's like the passing of time. I'm training with Tilia. Blah blah blah. I'm hanging with Evie. Let's
yeah,
we just go
38.
through all the chapters. I'm sorry. There was nothing really here, was there?
They're just training. Tilia's training.
Yeah. Until
And then Xavier actually, she's looking at the Guardian and she's trying to picture his Xavier's face, but it's just not
yeah.
working.
But then she decides to follow him, doesn't she, down the woods? And he knows that she's following him. And he's like, what the hell? Come on. And she's like, oh, right. He's like, I'm going off to find out if there was a mom Tarkin and a dad Tarkin to see if they had any other Tarkins
Correct.
there. And she's like, ooh, okay then. So they go off to find the den of the Tarkins to see what's left there and if they're infected and more things to
That's right.
kill.
Yeah, and then they kind of get there, don't they? And they hear nothing until a little wail happens, and the wailing of these Tarquin babies, essentially.
Oh, well,
No,
there's
they're
only one.
dead. That's right,
They're
they're dead
dead.
because they've starved, except for one. One is still hanging in there.
Yeah, and she's like, don't kill it. And he's like, well, it might be infected and stuff like that. And she's like, well, no, like people keep dogs and cats as pets all the time. Well, we'd named the Tarkin monsters, so yeah, I'm going to have it as a pet.
I thought this was hysterical because I went, but I think this goes back to when Evie said, I'm going to have my own personal monster and I'll have them as a pet. So then I can train them to kill other monsters. And I'm thinking I'm thinking this could be a precursor to monsters don't need to be monsters. They can be our allies. I think this is what's going to happen. But yeah, essentially an incredibly dark, evil Tarkin that almost killed them. She's going to raise a little tiny baby one.
Yeah.
And not be afraid that it's going to bite her. But so she is saying, no, don't kill it. But he's going, I'm sorry, I need to check. So he kind of cuts the thigh of the baby Tarquin and it does bleed red. So it's not infected. So she goes, great, I'm going to keep it. But the Guardian has like a moment, doesn't he?
Yeah, because she says like, if it turns green, the little Tarkin baby, I'll kill it. And he's like, okay. And that's when he like kind of nips it, finds out the blood is red. And then he says, would you kill me if necessary? And she just goes, yes, if I must. And he says, I will hold you to your vow. And then she's like, okay. And then he says, oh, you asked for my name. My name is Ransom.
Can I just say something? So when he said that, he says, you asked for my name. She's like, oh, you told me I had to earn it. And then he goes, Ransom. My name is Ransom. I went, your name is Ransom? That's your name?
Yeah. I didn't see him as a ransom.
That? I don't see you as a Ransom. And I'm sort of like,
I kind of saw his name as a Xavier and the other one was a Ransom.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't like it, I'm not gonna lie. We get into chapter 39. She now has a baby Tarkin, and it's keeping her
Yeah,
up. It's like, rawr, rawr,
yeah. And Evie
rawr.
loves
It
it,
likes
and it's just like,
cuddles. It likes to be fed, and she's quite tired because she's not had much sleep because it's kept her up all night. But she's been
mhm,
feeding it and looking after it and keeping it cozy. So it's doing a lot better, this little baby.
mhm.
And Ransom's laughing because he's like, so much for the crate to keep it in, because now you're
Yeah,
just cuddling it up like a little baby. So anyway, he asks her if she wants to go on a sort of mission
scout and
with him.
research to a new town, Ra- Ravali, and I was like, oh right, okay, because apparently there's been a lion wick like attack there. So
Yeah,
she said, like, let's go and investigate, and you need to leave the beast. And she's like, no, no, I
sorry,
cannot.
sorry, sorry about that.
There's lion wick spike thing going on where you are. So,
I know there's just lion wicks here in London. No, sorry, yeah, ambulances. It's very hot. I have to leave the window open, guys. I'm very sorry, but I can't close it. It's way too hot here. Yeah, so they say Lion Wick was killed in a nearby village. Lyssa, yes, let's go check it out. So she's like, "Yay, mission! Let's go together and figure this shit
yeah,
out."
'cause she
So
fancies him, and she
Rivali,
gets a pet to take her pet with her. So she's like all
he's
happy.
like, "Leave it," and she's like, "No, it needs to be with me."
Yeah, because there's no one to take care of it because Brielle and Jocelyn have gone to Elder, and as well as Xavier and Evie have gone to Elder. So there's no one left apart from her. So she has to take care of it. She puts it in a little baby carrier, doesn't she? It's just like, let's go.
Yeah, and the other thing is she's like, Brielle had signed the 8 and asked if I had a death wish when she first saw the little baby. And then both of my ladies' maids had seemed more than happy to get out of Truro. So you know that even if she'd said, hey, Brielle and Jocelyn, could you look after my little baby Tarquin? They would have been like, once again,
No, terrible
useless,
handmaid.
worst
Useless
ever.
handmaid.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, they're off there. They're on their horses. They're off to Ravelli. It's a while away, but yeah. So she's having chats with the guardian again, and she
Yes.
says, "Oh, you made me swear to kill you. Who else has sworn to that vow?" And he says, "Tilia Halston. All of the rangers in his hunting party have sworn to do it if necessary, and Xavier was the first to promise."
Ooh. It's like, yeah. So there's clearly if I lose my shit, you better kill me. So we get that intel. And then he needs a haircut. And
Basically, yeah, says that you need a haircut, and he's like, "Right, okay, cool." But and then yeah, he's very dismissive about what if there's a cure? There isn't a cure. Blah blah blah. And
it's interesting that she's repeated it a few times and we get the
mm,
same response from him. So
yeah,
anyway, yeah, I'm thinking that's a critical point. And so they enter in after they've spoken, and they get to Ravali, I think,
yeah.
by
It,
chapter 40. It's a very short chapter. It's just a lot of talking. So much happening.
exactly. Yeah, there's not that much, but she does come up with a good idea, and she says to him, "Oh, there was an outpost for pony riders. Have you asked them about the comings and goings?"
Oh
You
my
know, and he's
god.
like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." And she's just like, "Yeah, cool. I can do help too," and stuff
I know,
like that.
because
And
he's like, I don't know why I hadn't thought of that. And you're like, come on, man. Come
that's where they're going to find the answer as well. So
on.
anyway, God, yeah. And she's just like, and he says, "You really keeping that cat?" And she's like, "I have a soft spot for monsters." Hint, hint.
She dangling that fruit. She dangling it. I love it. I love
You
it.
are a married woman, girl.
I
Damn.
know. I know. She's probably like, well, if flirting's all I can do, that's what I'm gonna do. So they get to Ravali, which is
Yeah.
very different from Ashmore Trio, aka Endor, and Elder, as they were from each
It's like
other,
fourth.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
go ahead.
yeah. So no, like I kind of got the image because she was saying that the houses are like in the ground. So like there's an entrance, and that you're the same height as the roof, and then you go down into the house. Like that's how they do it to protect them, and it's all steel things up
I'm
there.
gonna tell you right now, it's like another Star Wars location, aka it's literally Tatooine.
But you have to be underground because like the whole giant hawk crux things will come get them. So that's why they're underground.
And there's only one room at the end. No, it's not that, guys. Although it would,
No.
I bet you it's going to happen at some point. But no, there's not one room at the end.
There's two rooms, thank
there's
God.
two.
Yeah, but he asks the innkeeper, and he's like, oh, and then they say, oh, right, find out that whoever killed the lion wick, the blacksmith will know. How would the blacksmith know? It's just because is he in the know? Is that like the local gossip?
I'm not sure, but I would say like he has the tea anyway.
He had
they
tea.
they
Yeah.
get to the blacksmith, and essentially he's a little bit like Guardian. Who the heck is that in the background? And the Guardian just goes, "This is Princess Odessa Wolf," and just throws her right into the bus. And he's like, oh my god," because the idea is the Guardian wants to get the gossip going. He wants people to then spread the word, and then it gets people talking, and somebody's going to say something important. So that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you could have told me your plan.
Yeah, exactly. But but as soon as she tells him, he's like sprouting out the goss, isn't he? He's just like, oh yeah, that took 6 men to like get this like lion wicks down. Something wasn't right with the monster. It had green blood. And he was like, okay, good. We know he's infected. And they're like, but you should speak to the paper man. He's new in town, got a nasty slice on his arm. And they're like, paper man, let's go. And you found out like the paper man is like basically the tabloid of the town.
And they end up standing right outside it at one point when they leave. They're like, oh, yeah, there it is.
But what is interesting is that he's from Quintus, where she's from. And he left there after his wife was taken to the Shades. Okay, dead. But he's been in Reveille 6 months. And so, yeah. And he's been talking about discussions with the king military. Is it?
Militia,
sorry.
There you go. It's all good. But it's called the Reveille paper. And they go, ooh, after you. Let's go inside. And he's like, hello, how can I help you?
Mr. Paperman.
This is the bit that cracked me up. I just thought, go ahead. I loved it. It was funny.
Which bit? So yeah, they go into like see there's a boy who's like, oh my god, it's the Guardian. So it's basically this paper man and his son that lived there after his wife died. And so they find out what happened, and apparently he's the first one that saw the lion wick, and he tried to get his crossbow out and shoot it to bring it down, but then it kind of sliced his hand before he could get there. But then other people came and saved him, so he was like, it was okay. But again, they were like, its eyes were cloudy, its blood wasn't red, and it smelled like the middle of the Ozarks cave ginger bog. And I was like, what?
Yeah, so now I'm like, I just immediately, every time I hear bog, I'm like, the bog of eternal stain.
Yeah, it smelled like that. And she's like, like this is like cave ginger, the candy, my favorites. And he's like, nah, it's where the owl's eggs bogs that give off that most vile rancid smell. You don't want to be there anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like,
what?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's an important fact. Like,
it is.
That might be where it is. Did the Voster have any, like, I don't know, do they live there in the bogs? I don't know. Like, I think there's something suspicious there. But anyway, the Guardian's like, what's your name? He's like, it's Samuel Hay. And she's like, Samuel freaking Hay? The one that wrote that book, A Year in Quintus?
I loved it because as soon as he was like, this is Odessa Wolf, and she goes, cross, this is Odessa, cross. And Samuel goes, beep. And she's like, from Quintus? And he's like, oh, princess, I, and then she's like,
nah, don't give me that. Yeah. I know what you said about my mom, dad.
I absolutely loved it because the boy Jonas is uptight. He's like, what's happening? And the boy like changes it. He's like, oh, you got a little baby Tarkin there. That's super cute. Yeah. Nobody's freaking out about this Tarkin. They're all like, oh no, yeah, sorry, that's my thing.
He's like, should we leave? And he's like, no, let me go. I'm going to do this. And he's just like, you're a legend tamer and a princess. And she's like, all right, cool, stay. I'll have tea. And the Guardian's like, all right then. I've got some stuff to do. Don't wander off. And she's like, yes,
that's fine.
Me and Samuel have tea. The tea.
I loved it because one of the last lines at the end of this chapter, once the Guardian goes, "Okay, you stay here, catch up with Samuel," while little boy there from Samuel Hayes playing with the baby Tarquin. She
Yeah.
just goes, "Yeah, yeah, no worries, I'll be fine." And she just sits there, plants a sugary smile, and it's like, "So, let's talk about this book."
Yeah, let's talk about your friggin' bird.
And then Samuel's like, "Shit." And so we get into 41, chapter 41, and we find out that Samuel's parents were Quintus traders, and he has a bit of annoyance with them, but
Yeah.
he, you know, he fell in love with this lady teenagers, and then they had their kid who's they are playing with the
Yeah,
Tarkin,
like traveling.
Jonas, and yeah, but she had been murdered in Roslo, and
Yeah.
I guess it was a horrible, miserable time in his life, and so he then lashed out and wrote this book essentially after, her death, and he says that he now regrets it if he could toss the book into,
Yeah, but
and
he
forget
doesn't
it
ask about
exists.
she doesn't ask about the main thing, like, why do you think my father killed my mother then? Or do you know about my mother? Or less, she just goes, it was too hard, so I'll move on. And I'm like, This is your chance, girl, like, to find out anything about your mom. Like,
Don't
why are you
even.
asking?
Yeah, it's like
Doesn't
she just
even
goes,
try.
"Why did you write it?" And you go, "Okay, here we go." And he's like, "I was angry, I had lost." And she's like, "You called us traitor and thieves. You accused my father of murdering my
Yeah.
mother." And his gaze goes to the floor and he's like, "I'm sorry, I exploited a rumor from a drunk nobleman without proof. I embellished because I knew, sorry, it would sell." Sorry, I'm gonna cough,
Yeah.
my bad. Excuse me.
Yeah. And that's it. She doesn't say, like, anything else. And so she doesn't ask anything else. And I'm a bit like, this is your chance. Like, oh, come on, whatever. But anyway, she tries to find out a bit more about other things. So about what's going on with the king and like him taking all these soldiers. And she's just like, yeah, from what I've heard, visiting families, not a single soldier who's joined the militia has written home, but they've all disappeared. And she's like, yeah, but that could have been like, they could be separated, they could be everywhere. And he's just like, no, like they've all gone. And she's just like, it's odd. Do all these men go to Alizaria? And he's like, and he finally goes, I'm not sure actually. And she's like, finally, someone who wants to talk about it. And she's like,
Yeah,
have
and
you been?
she
And he's like,
says, "Have you been?" And he says, "No." So he's not denying its existence. So she now knows it's a real place.
yeah, it is a real place. But she said he hasn't been, but but there is a woman in Rivali who's been there, and according to her, the road is treacherous. It's guarded by a stone wall, and the only way to be granted entrance through the gate is a blood oath.
Oh, so
So
now we're
it's,
getting the tea here.
it's
So now we know there's some reasoning behind this whole secret Alisaria and some blood oath. But again, I don't trust Odessa's father because I have a funny feeling that whatever this blood oath is not a good thing. And I think he's going to
no,
throw her under the bus here. But yeah, at least we now know that there
yeah,
is a city. It is real. You need a blood oath. And she's like to keep its, location secret. And her curiosity has been piqued. But he's like, be careful of that curiosity. It
yeah,
has not been easy to find my place here in Rivali. The Turans are incredibly distrustful for outsiders. Even as the
mhm,
Sparrow, they won't welcome you with open arms. So they
yeah,
just don't trust people. But then why? What's the history there, I wonder?
yeah. And she's like, have you ever seen a map? And he's like, no, maps are forbidden. If you're found with one, it's punishable by death. And she's like, what? What's going on? And he's like, I told you, be careful. I just don't understand. And she's like, I just don't understand. What the hell's going on?
I have to
Why
say,
keep
Samuel
Zara a
Hay had good
secret?
intel.
Yeah. Yeah. What happened to 3 generations ago that made the Turan rulers withdraw so severely? And he's like, I don't know. But the king makes his decree there, and they are just disseminated across the kingdom. So you're like, so Paris still serves as the capital.
Mm.
But and also it's disseminated by the pony riders. So I really feel that the pony riders are the ones in the know. Let's see.
I think this is and she called it. She really did call it. So we get a sense of information there. The Turin's distrustful. There's a history there. There is a Lyssaria is existed, but you need some blood oath to get into the city.
Yeah.
This Ramsey soldiers are all disappearing. We're not sure what. There's something about the ginger bog that we don't know what that
Yeah.
is. That seems significant. And maps are forbidden, and you can.
Also, it says here as well, from what he's gathered, Samuel's, the wealth of the kingdom's knowledge lives behind Alizaria's walls, and they don't share. And like, so they keep it all behind there. And you're like, what the hell? What do you mean, like, wealth of their knowledge? Like, it's really hard. Yeah.
So I wonder, is there something to do with he's burning all the books because he doesn't want anyone having any more knowledge than he does because he's the king of
It's
Alisaria.
country. Like, I get it if it was other countries, yeah, but it's his country.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And he's trying to get them all to move to the city. I don't know, making life harder for them or something.
Suspicious. All of this very suspicious. So we learned that they that information is kept hidden. So
Yeah.
and then we move forward, and the front door opens, and when Ransom comes back in, she says, "Thanks for the tea," and they kind of finish up their conversation. And they say, "Did you learn anything?" And we find out that there was an attack in the mountains weeks ago by a grizzer. 2 hunters, both now dead, and a pack of Barry wolves killed a merchant and his daughter. There's no way of knowing if the monsters were actually infected, but they have been more attacks in these parts. It set everybody on edge in this area. So it could mean that getting closer. Say again?
She tries her luck and she's like, Samuel mentioned that most of Chur's alchemists and scholars lived in Alizaria. What if somebody in the capital is the source? And he's just like, no one created Lyssa. Was it Lyssa in Azaria? He just shuts it down.
She's like, how do you know? And he's like, I just do. But
you
know nothing about the city cross. And he's got quite a bite to his thing. He's like, don't bring it up again. And you're just like,
what is going on there?
Why not? Why make me? That's what I'd say. Go F yourself. Why? Fine, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah.
Get to the point with this book where I'm like, tell him to F himself. Come on, man. Look, ambulance is annoyed as well. Anyway,
what's going on?
So then they have the rest of the walk is in silence towards the inn because he's annoyed at that comment.
He's peeved off.
And then he says, "We'll leave the outpost tomorrow. Be ready at dawn. Ha ha ha. The barkeep knows to bring your dinner." And she's like, "All right, fine, whatever." But then he mentions that Ramsey is rumored to be on his way here tomorrow. We will not be here when he gets here. We're going to leave before he gets here. And she's like, okay. So we kind of finished that chapter on that note of we're going to leave here before Ramsey gets here. And I'm like, bullshit. I call bullshit. We're going to be here when he gets here.
You have to burn books again. Do they have a library there in Rivali? Why is he there? Why is he in Rivali? What's going on? Is he recruiting for his militia?
Yeah, that is the question.
Is he off to take the books and the paperman? Oh, the paperman's getting it.
So then you get into chapter 42. So chapter 42 is the next day. It's dawn. We need to head off. So they get the horses and everything ready. And yeah, he's like, get ready. We need to leave. Let's go. But alas, here they are getting ready to leave. And we hear a distant tramp through soldiers coming. Okay.
Here.
And Ransom's like, fuck, I've left it too late.
Hide.
And so they're coming towards them. They can't even hide. They've been seen. It's there. So they swept into Rivali like a storm. So the soldiers come in and, they have clothing and armor with the crest of the King Ramsay wolf. And they realize, well, it's too late. We have to deal with this situation. And people come out of Rivali like still in their night clothes, like, what's the tea? What's happening?
going on? What's happening?
So then Guardian is saying, get on your horse cross, even while they're coming, and don't say anything. And Cross is like, okay. And so then Ransom gets on his horse and the atmosphere changes. So they're there, look, two men, both with uniforms, stare at Ransom, and then he just looks at them, clears his throat, and they move to the side and clear a path, which I thought was interesting. So obviously, because I guess he's the Guardian, he's super respected or something. And he tells Odessa, say nothing, don't say a word. And she, yeah.
Sorry, I haven't read this, so I'm learning the last.
I know, I'm telling her the last chapter. So he goes, she goes, okay, fine, I'll try and keep my mouth shut. Do you think Odessa's going to keep her mouth shut? No, she's not going to keep her mouth shut.
Nah.
So anyway, Ramsay comes in. Here he is. And he wore
Why is he there?
He wore a circuit like Savior and the silver glinting above his eyebrows. Look at all zhuzh. And he walks up. He stops in front of Ransom and their glares clash, like, I'm staring at you, you're staring at me. It's very tense.
He's looking at me. He's looking at you.
Looking at you. He's looking at me. Anyway, so shouldn't Ransom have bowed? This is the king.
To the king.
You should be bowing. Didn't bow. And then Ramsay looks at her and he's like, you're the bride prize, the Sparrow. And she's like, have a name like that. And then Ransom's like, what did you fucking say? And I
Shut up.
She's like, oops, sorry. And then she's like, apparently in times of stress, I forget myself. Anyway, so Ramsay's like, she should be in Alisaria. And you're like, why should she be in Alisaria?
Why should she?
Something to do with the Shields of Sparrow. Interesting. Okay. So then Ransom says, no, not until she can be trusted. So I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, so yeah, so they're there having a one-on-one. I kind of and she's sort of going, okay, this is interesting. I'm gonna have to betray them, but what are you gonna do? So Ransom's like, okay, we have somewhere to be,
Bye.
Was there anything else? Majesty. And that's kind of how he says it. And she's like, oof, saying that to your king? Damn, man, that's an insult.
Yeah.
And then Ramsay, he looks at her again and goes, such pretty hair. It's no wonder you caught my son's eye, princess. And she's like, thanks, Majesty, I guess. And suddenly he waves a hand and his soldiers start burning shit. Just start burning, and you know exactly where they go. They go to the paper place.
Yeah,
and
the paper bar.
That's it. The paper bar. They go to Rivali paper, which is where Samuel Hay is, and they start burning the place in his home. So they don't burn. They don't burn like anywhere else. They just go to him. They go to his place and they burn. They throw something.
Maps. This is not the business to be in, Samuel.
I know. It's a terrible place. Not sure why. So he goes like that. Right, go. And the soldiers throw the fire into, and this is the point where Odessa's like, oh my God, Ransom, like, fuck, like, we've got to stop this. And she's crying, no. And Jonas, the little kid, is standing outside and he's watching the flames and he's like, oh, Papa, oh, my home. And it's all very devastating. Yeah. He can't find his dad. And so Ransom goes in to try and find Samuel and see if he can get him out. And she's stood there with Jonas, the little kid, going, it's okay, it'll be fine. Don't worry, we'll get him out. And Ransom, I know, per Samuel and all this stuff. He's already lost his wife, for God's sake. So she's praying, and then, Ransom does manage to get Samuel Hay out, but the fire is like torch and everything. It's gone. His whole home, his whole livelihood is all
God.
gone. And so the soldiers he's holding some books and paper in his hand.
What
So
Ransom is?
he's still
Or
got them.
Samuel?
Sorry, Samuel. So Ransom's pulled him out,
Yeah.
and Samuel's still got stuff in his hands. The soldiers from Ramsay come up to him to basically go, well, we'll be taking that. But Ransom goes, you touch him and you're dead. Like that. And they go,
Yeah.
okay, and they back off. So the soldiers listen to the Guardian because they're just
Okay.
like, don't touch
He's
him.
gonna lose these books.
So he's keeping the books at the moment. And I think I noticed really, I recognized the quote once I read it. It's a very good quote. So Ramsay's like, okay, that's done. We ride now. Let's go. Whatever. But Odessa's pissed. She's very annoyed. She's
No,
like looking
also,
at him. Yeah, go ahead.
what was that conversation with the whole king? And what the hell? Like, it's just, why don't you go up to him and say, why are you burning books? Like,
Yeah, not much conversation happens. He just goes to the paper shop, he burns it. Ransom gets out. Nobody tries to save Samuel. Ransom does it, and then he leaves him holding some books and bits because the Guardian says, "Touch him and you die."
yeah.
And basically, Ramsay's like, "Okay, that's us done. They're good. Let's go."
Bye.
And as he's turning his horse, Odessa goes, "Coward." And he like arches his brow and he's just looking at the princess and he's like, what did you just call me, princess? And she's like, I called you a coward. And somebody gasps at my back. Like, I assume it's maybe other people watching at this point.
Yeah.
Like, what? And anyway, he just goes, watch yourself. Your ignorance is showing. And she says, as is your nature, only fools and liars burn books and people's homes. And I was like,
Hey, up there yourself. You're gonna die. But
so I
yeah.
thought that was a good call. Only fools and liars burn books in people's home. I was like, good call. But Ramsay like leans in right into her face. He's still on his saddle. It's like an intimidation kind of thing. And she's like, oh, I'm not letting this bitch intimidate me, basically. And she squared her shoulders and basically just stares at him. She's saying like, I didn't say anything more, but he could tell what I was staring at him was fuck you. And he straightened and he's like, I was told the Gold King's eldest daughter was weak. I see my spies have been mistaken. And she was like, ouch, that's hurtful, but she keeps herself. And she says, there are many things happening in my kingdom, Princess Odessa Wolf. And he's like, what Shura needs are a few fires. But no explanation why. So Ransom comes and he's like, leave to the king, like leave. But then Ramsay says, you have 1 month. Do not make me come and find you again. And you're just like, she's going, a month? What happens in a month? Why is he looking for the Guardian in a month? Why is he, what's going on here? So what do you mean a month? A month for what? And then what happens? Ransom turns and walks away.
Oh, for God's sake.
And here we are at the end of chapter 42. So we are, this is the end of our episode discussion on these chapters.
What a thing to laugh.
Yeah, so we get there's some tension. We're not sure why he needs a few fires in Shura. We're not sure what the burning is about, but we now know he's aware she is Princess Odessa Wolf, the Shield of Sparrows, and he's saying, you need to be in Alisaria.
But she's not allowed in. She's trying to get to Alisaria. Why not in there? Oh, there's something fishy going on Alisaria. It's a prison. It's a prison.
Yeah, because part of me thinks the Guardian really likes her. So although he's going, oh, but she can't be trusted, I think there's more going on here. He must know that this whole blood oath thing of entering the kingdom and she's the Shield of Sparrows has some significance. And perhaps it's not necessarily a good thing. But it's interesting. I don't know what a month is. What happens in a month?
Yeah, what is going on?
So yeah, so to be continued. Anyway, I will agree with you. I think a lot of it was journey and waffle and talking and blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah. So I'm a little bit kind of like, can we now get
Get
on with
answers.
it? Um,
Answers.
I have heard now, as you can see, this is what's left of the book, which is about, we're at chapter 43, and
Yes.
the last chapter is 63. So we're kind of getting towards the end. I have a friend of mine who's read this book,
We need answers.
and she says, yeah, now it's gonna get messed up. Now it's gonna get heated. Stuff is
Okay.
gonna come to, you're now gonna get the shit hit the fan. And I said, well, thank God, because we've been here reading
But you've been
this book. It's
traveling from
thickest.
one town to another.
And I get you have to establish the areas, but let's do this. Come on, little bit more
Let's go.
information. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I need to read now. I want to know what's going on. Why is he being a month? What's a month? What's happening in a month? What's going on?
What's going on? So that means what is our next Tuesday we'll be back here with our continuation, part 5 of
Part
our
one.
reading of Shields of Sparrow. But what are the chapters we will be reading, Linda?
Yeah, so we're reading up to chapter 53. So chapter 43 to 53.
Excellent. Okay, cool. 53.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll get some tea and then get some
Yeah,
juicy
hopefully
goodness.
I want to see what's going on. I want to know what's happening. What's going on?
I know. Why is no one asking questions? It's like Akatar all over again.
Yeah, I need the answers now. Come on. It's been a while. At least like in Akatar, like, there's loads of questions. It's questions. And then Sarah J. Maas like flicks like a couple of answers to you. She doesn't do a whole thing until the very end. But yeah, it's like a couple answers. And I'm like, good. Now I kind of like, that keeps me at peace. This has been nothing. This is nothing. All I've had is Lyssa. Lyssa for like 43,
All
42
of it has, it's been speculation at this point, and what we need to know is someone to go, this is this, and even just one thing, just to tell us, okay. But Lyssa is not that one thing. Like, Lyssa is one thing most of the book. We need more thing. We need more. We don't even know where it came from. That's the other problem.
The bug of eternal stench, apparently. So.
Ginger bog of eternal stench. But yes, we look forward to it. Please join us on our Fable Book Club as we continue our journey through the Labyrinth, reading Shields of Sparrow. And we look forward to seeing you here next Tuesday. Yeah, so we better get reading.
Yeah, I want to read now. I hope there's some answers.
Yes. Let's get reading on this baby. All right, so see you next week. Take care in the meantime, and we'll find out what happens.
Yeah.
Bye.
Labyrinth.